They've been fees for 4 or 5 years.
Beautiful. Welcome to the King County Levy Court combined committee meeting and business meeting this evening. We're meeting at 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware. This is Tuesday, December 14th, and we're in Levy Court Chambers 203. Before we proceed to the business meeting, I'll turn this over to the county administrator to explain how we do WebEx and phone for the meeting.
Thank you, President Pepper. Good evening, everyone. This evening's meeting is a combined meeting of the Levy Court, business meeting and committee meeting, and it is being offered, as the President mentioned, here at 555 Bay Road and also via WebEx, and we have guests joining us via the internet. And for their instructions, if you are joining us via a mobile phone, at the appropriate time through the agenda, there are opportunities for public comment. In order to be recognized, please press *3 on your mobile phone, and that will raise an electronic hand, and our operator will be able to bring you into the meeting room. If you are joining us via a computer or laptop, *6 will mute and unmute your device. There's a raise hand icon as well at the bottom of the screen, and you should be able to join us by clicking on the raise hand icon, and we can recognize you at that time. We will provide these instructions throughout the meeting at the appropriate times for public comment for those who may be joining us via the internet. I'll remind everyone that as an official proceeding of Levy Court, we are following the Levy Court Rules of Procedure adopted for business meetings, as well as the Mason's Rules of Order. Mr. President, turn the floor back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll call a business meeting to order. And first thing we'd like to do is have Commissioner Howell lead us in the invocation, Commissioner Angel lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Sweeney lead us in a moment of silence for our troops and first responders. All rise, please.
Thank you, Father, for bringing us here tonight. We pray that all of our actions will be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence to honor our military, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, and other first responders who have lost their lives in the line of duty, protecting and fighting for our freedoms. We also honor all first responders and medical staff who have succumbed to COVID-19 virus complications contracted through close interaction with infected patients losing their lives caring for others. As of today, more than 799,000 Americans nationwide, 2,225 in Delaware, and 478 right here in King County have lost their lives to COVID. Please remember all these individuals who died in the line of duty, as well as keeping their families in your thoughts and prayers as they deal with the loss of their loved ones. Second Lieutenant Anthony D. Wentz from Falcon, Colorado. Police Officer Henry Laxon from Clayton County Police Department in Georgia. Constable Madison Skip Nicholson from Wilcox County Constable's Office in Alabama. Detective Antonio Antoine Valentine from the St. Louis County Police Department in Missouri, Police Officer Richard Houston from the Mesquite Police Department in Texas, Probationary Firefighter Vincent Valvo from the Fire Department in New York, and Chief Wes Adams from Sedgwick Volunteer Fire Department in Arkansas. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sweeney. This time, can we have a roll call, please, to determine quorum?
Mr. Angel?
Present.
Mr. Buxton?
Present.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Here.
Mrs. Maston?
Present.
Mr. Sweeney?
Here.
Mr. Pepper?
Here.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. I received a message from Commissioner Hall. He's a little under the weather this evening, and I asked him if he felt up to it, he could join us by phone. And we do have a quorum. Need a motion on the adoption of tonight's agenda.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions? If not, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. This evening's agenda has been adopted. We need a motion on the consent agenda 21-13.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Howell, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions? Seeing none, we have roll call now, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. The consent agenda 21-13 has been approved. Moving down the agenda, the first item are presentations. The first one is a special presentation, and I will turn that over to Commissioner Angel.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great deal that when you admire somebody and you've known them for years, it's time to get them recognized in what they have accomplished, and hopefully tonight this will do that. Resolution 3909, Kent County Medal for Dr. Wilma Michoud. Whereas Dr. Wilma Michoud has broken through barriers her entire life. Whereas Dr. Wilma Michoud served as the first female president of Delaware State University after previously serving as the first female chair of the university's governing board of trustees, roles she accepted after serving as interim president in 2014 at Wilberforce University in Ohio, one of the oldest private historically black universities in the country. Whereas Dr. Wilma Michoud started her storied 40-year career in education at Wilmington University, then Wilmington College, then followed by a variety of administration positions at Delaware Technical and Community College before retiring after 30 years in 2008. Whereas Dr. Wilma Michoud has additionally dedicated herself to the local community as a member of the Capital School Board of Education from 1994 to 1999, including a 2-year interim as board president and serving on numerous state and local boards, including the Delaware Public Integrity Commission, the Governor's Committee on People with Disabilities, the Delaware Foster Care Board, and the Dover Housing Authority Board of Directors, and many others. Whereas Dr. Wilma Michoud has been recommended for a Kent County Medal in accordance with the provisions of the Kent County Levy Court policy and the requirements thereof. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Kent County Levy Court does hereby recognize, commend, and award Dr. Wilma Michoud of Dover, Delaware, with the Kent County Medal for meritorious service for this day, 14th of December, 2021. And if I could have the county commissioners and the administrator come forth, this is my motion, Mr. President.
Thank you. That's your motion. Can we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Sweeney. And can we have roll call, please, on resolution 36? Excuse me, it's 3909.
Mr. Angel?
Most definitely, yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Resolution 3909 has been approved. And have all commissioners go down front. County Administrator.
Dr. Michoud, can you come forth, please?
How are you? Hey there.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, sir.
Hi there. Are you surprised?
Yes, my sister's name.
It was supposed to be a surprise.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for everyone for. Am I turned on here, Mark? Okay. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. Dr. Michoud, thank you so much for everything that you've done for our community. I mean, it's you and your leadership has done so much for our community, for King County and state of Delaware. And not to say anything about how many lives that you've touched over the years who are going to continue to touch lives because of your leadership. So we are extremely proud to be able to present this to you tonight. Now we give out these, what we call the county medal, and we don't just give them out willy-nilly. You really have to have accomplished something, and you have. So we'd like to present you with this medal this evening, along with the resolution, and you'll go on the list of the very few that have received this medal. So, Commissioner Angel.
Well, as I said before, I've admired you from the first time we met. The only thing I'm sorry to have is your father's not here, because he was a mentor for me too when I was going to Del State. So, but all I can say is keep up the good work, because you've inspired a lot of people that you may not even know you've inspired, and I'm one of those. Thank you. Whoop. Commissioner.
Congratulations, and very well deserved.
Out of respect, I just want to meet one of the OGs. Congratulations. All right. Heard a lot about you. I actually know about you a little bit, too. I was an attendee of Del State a little bit. But anyway, congratulations. So well deserved, and just an honor to be here to see you receive this. So congratulations. Thank you.
Dr. Michoud, congratulations. There have been others that have received this medal that have done a fraction of what you've done for the community. It's very well deserved. Congratulations.
I was at Del State when your dad was president, and you could tell even from short sentences how intelligent this man was. He really was a good guy, and I appreciate it. And so I got 2 degrees at Del State, but appreciate your work and all that you've done. You're well known and well appreciated.
Dr. Michoud, this is a special moment in the life of Kent County to be able to recognize you this way. Your footprint on this community is almost endless. And as the resolution attests, the steps throughout your life that you've accomplished are just amazing and pioneering, and we just congratulate you, and we're so happy that we're able to do this here tonight. So I extend a congratulations to you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Roy, I'm going to have you hold that. That's your case for Dr. Michoud. And if you hold that for me, please.
It's your name and
It's engraved, and your name and date.
on the back.
Awesome.
You turn around the back side there. Your number
36.
Oh, to be 36. Good evening, all. And I said, oh, to be 36, as I walk with this cane and so forth. But I have to tell you, I really was surprised. I looked on the agenda and I saw my sister's name, and I said, no, they got the wrong one. So I truly, truly am grateful for this honor, and I never would have expected it. I do what I do, and I've done what I've done simply because I've just felt it's the right thing to do, or because I am a servant. I've done what I needed to do at the time that something was needed to be done. And Commissioner Allen knows that we served together on that school board back in the 1990s. 1990s. And you know what? I just had 2 knees replaced at the same time. That's what the cane is about. But let me just tell you, I don't think I'm finished yet. I think there's a lot more that I will be doing in this community. And I've done it with just love from my heart. And as long as God is willing, I'm willing to be that servant. So just thank you all so much for recognizing me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Get a picture, please.
Turn that way. Show that nice medal. Thank you.
Thank you. My family?
They were right here. Yeah, your son's got the case for the medal.
Okay. All right.
So, thank you. Good to see you. You take care of yourself.
All right. Thank you
I've
so
got
much.
mine replaced too. I know what you're going through.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be seeing you shortly too.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Sir?
Always good to see you.
Rita's next, right? Rita?
Yeah. Yeah. Then we got the retirement. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So. How many did you have? 1, 2, 3.
But they all have names.
5, right. 5,
Yeah.
yeah 5. So we'll just get one read and called by. Okay, next item on the agenda. Are tributes. And these tributes are for the Kent County Vaccination Coalition and Kent County staff. Lori, can we have you read the tributes? A tribute?
Yes. The first one is a tribute to Reverend Rita Page and the Kent County Coalition for Vaccinating People in Black and Brown Communities. Kent County Levy Court is honored to present this tribute to Reverend Rita Page and the Kent County Coalition for Vaccinating People in Black and Brown Communities. Whereas the Kent County Coalition, comprised of a range of local partners from state and local government, nonprofit organizations, local churches, businesses, and community leaders in nearly every sector, with deepest gratitude for your commitment to serve, we recognize and appreciate your leadership in your efforts to reach communities where COVID-19 vaccination rates are the lowest in Kent County. We commend you and the Kent County Coalition for Community Education, making COVID-19 testing sites available and providing COVID-19 vaccinations for more than 11,000 Kent County residents in underserved and resistant communities since March of 2021. Reverend Rita Page, Kent County Levy Court extends sincere congratulations to you and the Kent County Coalition in recognition for your commitment and dedication to the health and safety to all for the betterment of our community. May God add a special blessing to this noble accomplishment. We also have four tributes prepared for Kent County staff members. Their names are Dr. Hillary Welliver, Kayla E. Kircher, Susan Lanyon, and I believe Michelle Lipinski. And their tributes read, Kent County Levy Court is pleased to present this tribute to you in recognition of your immediate and empathetic response to the call for assisting the state of Delaware and the Kent County Coalition in providing COVID-19 vaccinations to local residents. Because of your efforts, Kent County Levy Court was able to meet the needs of the Kent County residents who may not have ever received COVID-19 vaccines. The Kent County Levy Court says thank you for your exceptional and positive response to the call for assistance and for a job well done.
Thank you, Lori. Reverend? We'll call everybody up individually. That way we won't, because we're going to take pictures, so that way we won't get so many people up here. Reverend, you want to come forward?
Hey, congratulations. I just want to clarify, this is what was read, so I'm just to present. I'm not used to doing this, as you can tell. I'm not the president. So I'm going to enjoy this, especially because I have an outstanding young lady next to me who's presented me with this opportunity to say thank you on behalf of the Kent County and the constituents, the residents, all the folks that we represent, to the community who may not understand what your coalition has done over the last X amount of days. I was first introduced to the program and honored to drive the bookmobile into the parking lot for maybe a kickoff, but if not, it was certainly one of the earliest events, and it was in Frederica. And I had the pleasure of taking a firsthand view of exactly what was to be done. And what I took from that event and what I learned over the next, that might be 2 months ago, more, right? One step at a time, one moment at a time. It wasn't that folks were lined up for miles on end to receive the vaccination, but there was one there. There was 4 there. And at the next event, maybe there was another 4. And to those 4, it mattered greatly that coalition was there to present and to help the community. And that's what I learned. And then I'm sure over time, it just built on itself. So I'll stop. I don't get this opportunity much, but I'm going to take advantage of it right now to say thank you very much for what you did. I'm going to ask maybe the other commissioners to jump in. And I know we have some friends from Frederica that are going to want to come down. So
congratulations, and appreciate all your efforts.
It just runs in the family, doesn't it? That's all I can say.
Thank you very much for all your efforts. We've been through some trying time past couple of years, and without folks like you helping to get these shots out and make it accessible to people, it'd be worse than what it actually has turned into be. So thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, Reverend Page, we've worked together a lot. Congratulations on this. It's very well deserved, and look forward to continued working with you.
Well, your good works have obviously been noticed, and we appreciate it. Thank you, and I hope you have a long, healthy life and you can continue to do good. Thanks a lot.
Reverend Page, just to echo what the commissioners have all said. Thank you so much for your public service. It's been tremendous, and the growing support, and as a testament of people standing around here in the room, everyone wants us to say thank you for your leadership in this community on this effort.
Sure. Before I hand the mic over, we've got some friends here from Frederica who were somewhat instrumental in reaching out to say that lady needs to be recognized for her efforts. And certainly you're not a solo on this venture, but, and I'll give you an opportunity to present that. Pete, you want to lead off?
First off, I got to tell you that Mayor Glenn wanted to be here, but he's home man in the ambulance because we had an EMT called out. I'm proud to call you friend.
Thank you. You were there when I needed the shot, and I thank you very much for that opportunity.
Okay, first giving honor to God, let me say this is truly a surprise. I knew that it was coming because Kelly told me, but it is still a surprise. You know, as my sister said, you know, we don't do things for our glory. We do things for the glory of God. And also, I just consider myself one of God's humble servants. And so, being one, we just do. We just go on and do what God requires us to do. And, you know, I said, who would ever think that I would find myself leading a coalition to get people vaccinated? But there are so many people to thank. And we have two groups represented here tonight, and we work together. We have the Kent Coalition, who is here tonight. Would you come? Can they come down?
Absolutely.
Would you please come down? And we also have Choose Healthy Life, which are members of the church that I pastor, New Beginnings Community AME Church. And so would you please come down? I'm pleased to say that through the National Black Clergy's Council, our church, Canaan Baptist Church in Newcastle and Bethel AME in Wilmington, two large churches, and our small church were the only three churches selected in Delaware to be recipients of the Choose Healthy Life grant. And we didn't have to apply for it. We were selected. And, you know, it's under the United Way, but of New York and the Black National Clergy's Council. So they looked us over and chose us in little old Frederica, Delaware. So that we are certainly proud of. We have those who go out in the field and they do the outreach to try to find out where we need to do vaccine clinics, and then we get them set up and we go and we do them. We try to reach people where they are, and we certainly thank Kelly Pitts here at the Kent County government for seeing to it that we're able to utilize the mobile unit, the library mobile unit, and all of the drivers. We have about three drivers. And so we thank them. And I can't say enough about Councilman Pete Rager from Frederica. Anytime we need anything, I call Councilman Pete. And I've only been at New Beginnings Community since 2019, but so we're still building relationships. But he has been the one to help us even start breaking down barriers. He's helped us to get some doors open. He's helped us with events. And so I certainly thank you for all that you have done. And Commissioner Buxton, we certainly thank you for, so it was a challenge it became a challenge for him. He stuck his neck out for us, but to God be the glory. yeah, he's still standing. To Reverend Jones and Reverend Chandler, how they go out and do the outreach to everyone, to my church family, Sister Scott here and Carter, who lead the Choose Healthy Life, and our outreach workers, Sister Doris May and Eddie Garrison over here. So it's nothing that we do I don't do it by myself. This is teamwork. They say teamwork makes the dream work. And I thank my presiding elder, Reverend Ellis Loudon, for being a great support to what we are doing. And he is also part of the Kent County Coalition. And Bay Health, West Side, the Delaware State Pharmaceutical Association, which the independent pharmacists belong, they are who do our vaccinating for us. And we don't just vaccinate the Black and brown communities. That was what we were initially established to do, but we go into the schools, we go anywhere people need a vaccination. We'll even have the pharmacists come to your home, and we have done that. And so we're here to get everybody vaccinated because we believe that that's the only way we're going to stop this spread and get rid of this awful, nasty disease, is by getting as many people vaccinated as we possibly can, and it takes all of us. So thank you for this honor. And I thank God for my nephew, the Vice Mayor of Dover, Councilman Roy Sudler, and the Council President, and my nephew, Travis Sudler. And Levon, you didn't come down. He's part of Kent Coalition as well, Levon McCutcheon. So I thank each and every one of you who are responsible for us also to receive this honor. God bless you.
I know you got everybody.
Now we need a picture.
I need a picture, but I need a favor. Does anybody know how to operate that camera? Because that lady right there is always on the other end, and she deserves to be up here today.
Good to see you. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll do our Kent County family members one at a time so we can get a picture. Kayla, come on down. Come on down. Joe. Step on back here so we can get a picture. smart president. Congratulations and thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Michelle? Michelle here? Oh, there she is on the other side of the podium. Thank you. Susan? There she is.
Truly awesome experience. So thank you, all of you, for allowing us to do it.
Oh, thank you. We're extremely appreciative of you all doing that.
Thank you. It was awesome.
All right. Thank you very much again. And Hillary.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all. Everything. There you go. There you go.
I'd like to, if you don't mind.
I would want you to.
First of all, Kelly was the person who coordinated all of this and got us involved, but the library loves to take its bookmobile and turn it into a Vaxmobile and take it where it's most needed. And there are two people who were not recognized tonight who do need to be recognized. One is one of our new drivers, Heather Gill, who also did an outreach, and Jeremy Shepard, who is our manager and the director of community services. Without his leadership, we would not have had the opportunity to be able to do this outreach, and we're very appreciative.
Thank you. Okay, next item. Well, we got one more. Okay. Oh, this is a Okay, next item is Resolution 3906. Lori, do you have a copy of this to read? Okay, can you read that into the official minutes, please?
Resolution 3906, retirement of Wendy M. Haywood. Whereas the retirement of Wendy M. Haywood, an employee of Kent County, State of Delaware, from her duties as Office Support Specialist 1, Office of the Kent County Sheriff, represents a suitable opportunity for expressing the esteem in which we hold Wendy M. Haywood as a good and faithful public servant. Therefore be it resolved that the County of Kent express its warmest appreciation and thanks to Wendy M. Haywood for the able and loyal manner in which she performed her public duties. Be it further resolved that this resolution be her evidence of a right to the pension provided by the Kent County Employees Retirement Program, and that this resolution be and hereby is incorporated into the official minutes of the December 14th, 2021 meeting of the Kent County Levy Court.
Thank you. This is Resolution 3906, so we do need a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. President.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Howe. Unless there's any questions, can we have a roll call, please, on the resolution 3906?
Mr. Angel?
This is for retirement, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Buxton? Yes. Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney? Yes. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals resolution 3906 has passed and been approved by Levy Court. And Wendy, want to come on down? I can't believe you're retiring.
It's about time, don't you think?
Thank you for all the time and all the efforts you put in for King County and all the good that you've done for King County. We hate to see folks like you leave, but on the other hand, we're happy for you because now you can enter the next chapter of your life. So congratulations and best of luck. May you live forever and do everything on that, on every bucket list that you can think of.
Oh, great.
So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Angel.
Yes, thank you very much. And maybe I should take maybe color my hair a little bit too, look a little younger too. So, but yeah.
I don't know if it makes you look younger.
Well, you didn't look as if you were ready to retire walking down. That's all I'm saying. But thank you for your service, and sorry to see you go. But everybody has their choice, and you made yours, and you're always welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations on your retirement. But as you were walking down, I said to Commissioner Angel, boy, she doesn't look old enough to retire. But best wishes, and I hope you enjoy your retirement. Congratulations on a job well done. Bye-bye.
Congrats, well deserved. Speaking to as someone who's recently retired, it's a pretty good gig. I think you'll find it enjoyable. All right, don't rush back to work. That's my only piece of advice. But best wishes, great job. Thank you.
Well, I hate to see you go, but what are you going to do now? Run for governor? Is that? Okay. Well, you heard it. You were the first to hear it. We wish you the best.
Wendy, congratulations. I wish I were you.
Well, Wendy, on behalf of all your fellow county employees, I also want to say congratulations. I want also to note that I'm the only one up here that did not vote for that. Yeah, because I don't have a vote. But anyway, you've been a joy to be around. You're a cheery person. You always come with an upbeat attitude, and I know you're going to be missed by your fellow employees. So congratulations. And after 6 months, we do bring people back part-time. So, yeah, keep that in mind, okay?
That gives you time to really make sure.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And I'm going to hand the mic over to you.
Oh, jeez. All right.
Oh, you got to get notes.
Well, yeah, because I'm going to make sure. It's not very long now. That's right. I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to work here for Kent County Levy Court. During my time here, I've made many, many wonderful friends, some like family, some not. Along with these friendships are many, many memories. I will miss seeing all of your smiling faces, but I am excited to see all that retirement has to offer. See you around.
Good job. All right, so we'll hold this in front and I think we're done. Thank you, everyone, for indulging us in recognizing folks like this. It's something that Levy Court likes to do. It's one of the fun things we do, and we really appreciate you being part of it tonight. Thank you. Okay, at this time on the agenda, we have room for introductions. We have some new employees that are here tonight. Mr. Quayle, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commissioners. So it must be the holiday season because only one of the 4 employees we hope to introduce tonight will be able to attend. And you know, we got to see almost all of our library staff just a while ago, and you get to meet one of the newest members. So it's an honor for me to introduce the Director of Community Services, Jeremy Shepard, to make that introduction.
This is starting to feel like an award show. So I'm happy to introduce the newest member of the Department of Community Services, which is Phoenix Cote. Phoenix, why don't you come up here? Phoenix was hired as a full-time employee in November 29th, 2021 as a library technician in the libraries division. She isn't new to Kent County, though. She's been working for almost a full year as a part-timer also in the library. She has a great way with the members of the community that come into the library, so we're excited for her to be on full-time, driving around the mobile library and working the front desk for the library. Phoenix resides in Commissioner Howell's and Pepper's district. Here's Phoenix.
Thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to growing and developing my skills within Kent County. Thank you.
Mr. Howe?
We're very glad to have you. Come back and see us.
Welcome to the Kent County family. Wish you a long career here, and best of luck, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll do the other introductions at a later date. Okay, next thing on the agenda are public hearings. At this time, we'll open a public hearing. First one is Mrs. Maston, ordinance LC 21-23. Turn it over to you, ma'am.
The ordinance to amend Kent County Code, Volume 2, General Legislation, Chapter 191, taxation to include a new Article 9, real property tax credit for disabled veterans, 191 to 69 through 191 to 73, to establish a real property value-based tax credit for totally disabled veterans who are residents of Kent County and who meet eligibility criteria under the state of Delaware, disabled veteran school tax credit pursuant to Delaware Code 1917. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Commissioners, we discussed this at our previous committee meeting. Do any of the commissioners have any questions before I open the floor for public comment? Commissioner Sweeney.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Pettit-Demange, this ordinance takes effect in the 23 tax year?
That is correct. It'll become effective in the upcoming tax cycle.
And there'll be a form like there is for the senior discount and the...
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
One other question. Now, will folks have to apply for this every year, like the other tax credit?
I don't believe the legislation provided for that. And I think that becomes, I don't see Ms. Durham here tonight, but I think that becomes more of a management function here at the county. But I did not see that in the legislation unless the council can comment on that.
No, I did not see that either.
No. Okay, great. Thank you. Unless there's any other questions, at this time we'll open the public hearing, and I'll ask anyone in the audience that is in favor of ordinance LC 21-23 to please come forward and give your name and address, be sworn and affirmed, and tell us why you're in favor of this. Anyone in the audience?
So we have any guests on WebEx that wish to address Levy Court on this matter? If you're calling in on a mobile phone, *3 will raise your hand, or you can select the raise hand icon on your computer screen.
There are no hands raised on WebEx at this time.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the audience that is opposed to ordinance LC 21-23? Anyone opposed, please come forward.
Similarly, if you're on the internet or on a mobile device and you wish to address Levy Court, star 3 on a mobile phone or select the raise hand icon on your computer screen.
No hands raised on WebEx.
Mr. President, I did notice something. You have to continue to qualify under the state disabled veterans school tax credit mandate. So it incorporates that standard into this.
So would that mean that they'd have to apply every year to show that they're still disabled, or?
Yeah, it's not clear to me whether the state requires an annual application.
Okay. Okay, any other questions from the commissioners? Okay, this time we'll close the public hearing, and I'll ask for a motion on ordinance LC 21-23.
I make the motion to accept the ordinance LC 2123 to amend Kent County Code Volume 2, General Legislation, Chapter 191, Taxation, to include new Article 9, Real Property Tax Credit for Disabled Veterans, 191 through 69, 191 through 73, to establish a real property value-based tax credit for totally disabled veterans who are residents of Kent County and who meet eligibility criteria under the State of Delaware Disabled Veterans School Tax Credit pursuant to Delaware Code C-1917.
Second the motion. Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Masson, second by Commissioner Angel. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, reason stated by Commissioner Masson.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes, reason stated.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, reason stated per my motion.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, for a reason stated.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, for all reasons stated.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals ordinance LC 21-23 has been approved by Levy Court. At this time, we'll recess to committee meetings. We'll go right into the committee meetings. Administration Committee, Mr. Angel, Chair. Turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Pettermage and Ms. Mark Parkowski, please.
Have a seat, guys. Commissioners, thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. Tonight, the KEP is requesting that Levy Court consider adding another tool in our economic development toolbox. Right now in the county, we have 2 tools that we use pretty consistently and that have worked effectively. One being the Kent County Strategic Fund, and the second one being a tax abatement program. We are asking to add a Kent County revolving loan fund. The difference is this will be money that hopefully the county can recoup some of the money that they put out as different from the other 2 tools that we use in our toolbox. That has been very successful in Sussex County. They have a program very similar to ours called the Excite Sussex Fund. And they also have a fund in Wilmington that's been very, very successful. So with me tonight, I have Representative Connor, and I'll let him introduce himself, from the National Development Council, who actually administers the proposed fund. And I have Matt from Discover Bank, who would be our partner in this. And just to give you a little background, during the summer, Bill Plaff, my counterpart in Sussex County, called me up and he said, Linda, Discover Bank is wondering why doesn't Kent County have a revolving loan fund? And I said, well, you know, we talked about it a couple years ago, just haven't pulled the trigger or gotten into that yet. And so Discover said, well, we would like to do something in Kent. So we've had initial meetings.
with Matt and Bill Plath, and then we had subsequent meetings with Mike Pettitomage, Susan Durham, and Matt. And then we've had subsequent meetings with the Sussex County administration to see how does it work, the mechanics of this fund as far for the county's accounting. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Connor, and you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Connor McCarthy. I'm a senior lender at National Development Council. I've worked in the state of Delaware for almost 6 years now, administering these various funds that were just referenced. And today I'm going to walk you through a little bit more about how the fund was established initially and its historic success thus far. And I encourage you, if you have any questions while I'm giving the presentation, to let me know and pose those questions. It's meant to be an interactive presentation. So with that being said, if we could, we'll go to the next slide. As I was saying, we've been working on this program for some time in the state of Delaware, and we've made significant investments through our small business lending programs. It's such a broad spectrum of different businesses up and down the state. The initial investments made by the respective community members in the city of Wilmington, throughout the state, and then as we were just discussing in Sussex County, have been leveraged 4 times over, which is a key component of what we're going to discuss tonight, the ability to take funds and then lever them 4 times over through the use of an SBA guarantee. We've generated to date 428 jobs, a little close to $14 million in lending throughout the state of Delaware, and another $3.5 million that we're about to close actually tomorrow. So scheduling tonight's meeting was a good time for us to be here. Again, you can see our impact at a glance up there through the 3 circles that are in this slide. We started in Wilmington, and we started with $1 million. We took that and utilizing an SBA guarantee in which we go to the federal government, specifically to the Small Business Administration. The Small Business Administration was able to offer a 75% guarantee on the funds that we extend. Matt can talk a little bit more about how that works just very shortly, because we utilize a debenture through Discover Bank in order to get that leverage ratio, and I'll leave that to Matt, but I just want to start putting that idea into everybody's head about a 4-to-1 leverage ratio. But suffice it to say, when we started in Wilmington, that program in turn became rather successful. We lent over $4.2 million. We impacted 8 businesses, and we created 78 jobs through the use of this program. Again, we were able to provide the longest term financing to these businesses. Longest term, by what I mean by that is that compared to the market, at times, a lot of other lenders and traditional lenders in the market will only provide a short-term or balloon financing if they're trying to assist a business to purchase its real estate, or assist a business to refinance out of poorly structured debt, or to assist a business with a myriad of different needs. What we're able to do through our partnership with Discover through the debenture, and then also with the SBA and with that guarantee, is we're able to offer the longest possible term on the loans that we issue to the businesses that we work with. And that's significant because it allows the business to have a lower principal and interest payment on the respective debt that they're taking on. And really what it means is that it's able to supercharge their cash flow. We coupled that long term with a very reasonable rate. In the city of Wilmington, that rate was close to 3.5% fixed throughout the lifetime of the loan. So compared to the market, it's a really effective tool to attract or retain businesses within a certain area. We started in Wilmington. We saw the demand was there. The program worked. And then we went out to the state and came up with a consortium of different partners that included the Longwood Foundation, Discover, West End Neighborhood House, the state of Delaware, and then Wells Fargo Bank. They all made commitments to this program, and we came up with an initial investment of a little over $1.3 million. Again, we did the same thing here. We levered 4 times over, and the program was very effective. It's lent $4.6 million to date. It's impacted 5 businesses, and it's created a substantial amount of jobs within the area that we've worked in. Again, we're on the eve right now of closing another $3.5 million, so we're very excited about this program at the state level as well, too. Again, it's touched all different types of businesses. What I like about this program is that there is no business too small, and at times will touch larger businesses that are in need of assistance. The loan size varies from $325,000 up to over $3 million. It can go all the way up to $5 million, although for purposes of this program, we definitely would create a little bit more diversity in the size of loan that we would utilize, and I'll let Linda speak to that after my presentation. We had a reasonable fixed rate, and again, there's that key word with regards to fixed rate, and we were able to impact veteran-owned businesses, African-American-owned businesses, and really provide impact to a wide range of different businesses, whether that included manufacturers, a millworking operation, or consulting businesses. And an example of one of those millworking businesses that we were able to help is GTI Millwork. They're in the northern part of the state. We made a loan of $505,000 to them. A lot of that loan really helped to get these folks out of usurious debt that they had incurred in the market. We were able to refinance $361,000 in high-rate, short-term funding with low-rate, long-term funding that, again, supercharged their cash flow. We also were able to help them with some modest leasehold improvements to infuse the business with permanent working capital, so that way it had sufficient working capital to adequately capitalize its operating cycle. And again, we were able to create additional jobs as a result of this infusion of capital. That was a 10-year term at 5.73% fixed. And I always like these quotes that we get from the borrowers. Here we had a borrower saying, you know, it was a process to get it done, but our loan officer was there for us at each step to explain and guide us through the SBA loan process. In our previous searches, we were unable to find an extended term and low rates from traditional lenders. This offering is exactly what we needed at exactly the right time. So again, even when you hear the borrowers talking about the low rate in the long term, I think we can understand the demand that's out there in order to provide the correct type of financing to these businesses. We have a video that we've put together, and I really enjoyed this video, and I think just to get it started, would I just press...
Mark will tell us.
There we go.
He'll do it for us.
Thank you, Mark.
He's excellent.
My father-in-law was in the conveyor belt business, so he offered to get me a job there. And at first I declined that, and then a couple months later I decided, well, you better do it because you're going to be broke. First 7 years I worked in the production shop, making belts, traveling around the country, doing installations, and then evolved from that into sales, and then from sales into the upper management. Started this business in 1993, and we decided we wanted a facility where we could buy ownership of the property. So we made the decision to move. The move was pretty costly and was putting a strain on our cash flow for about a 3-week period. We were running at 50% capacity, and that's a lot of money not getting shipped out the door each day. Went to the bank in 2010 to try to get a loan. Well, in 2010, nobody was lending money. And that's what we got involved with the Growth Delaware Fund, which was to give us some operating capital to help us overcome the move and maintain a good cash flow. We liked working with them, you know, they were very helpful. Connor, he came in several times and he came to visit our facility and see the operation. He did his homework and due diligence, and at the same time kept us informed the whole time what was going on. And then they finally got it pushed through, and like I said, it was a great help for us. Conventional bank, they want to come back over, say, a 5 or 6 month period. Growth Delaware Fund, you know, they came in looking, hey, we're going to help you out, we're going to get you the loan. We're back to a pretty strong cash flow again, but it was a big help having that money available there, because without it, you know, it'd have been a pretty tough stretch for the last several months. They still talk to us, they still come see us and said, you know, if you see you need additional funds for additional growth, you know, we're here for you. having that funds available from them made our transition of moving a lot easier, and it made my night sleeping a lot easier. I don't have to worry about having enough money to pay the bills.
All right, we'll transition back to the presentation. That's not part of the presentation. Although I wish it was. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
There we go.
So here are the deals at a glance. And again, the point of this slide is not to get too deep into every deal, but to show you the diversity of the deal size and the types of businesses that we were able to assist. They include manufacturers, they include carpentry businesses, minority-owned businesses that specialize in security services for Amtrak and other public entities. So it really runs the gauntlet. We also have a dentistry here that we were able to assist with the acquisition of their real estate. More important than just the size of the loans too, you can see the deal impact with regards to the number of employees hired or created and retained through this program. As Linda was describing, we've really seen tremendous impact throughout the state, but also just an incredible commitment from Sussex County. And their head of economic development has branded this fund aptly Excite Sussex. And it is pretty exciting. We've taken $4 million and we've generated $16 million in small business loans. So Sussex especially has really bought into this model because they see that it works. There's been 5.1 million loaned. They've impacted 5 businesses that they wanted to retain in the county, and they've created 102 jobs. Here, again, we have an example of the diversity of the types of loans that we've done. We've helped out businesses that have specialized in public paving and residential paving. We've helped to retain businesses into Sussex County's industrial park, and these are exporters and manufacturers of PPE and other equipment that's been essential through the pandemic. We've helped to attract a business. STPS is a business that specializes in motorcycle parts, and it was able to go into a hatchery in Seaford that was previously abandoned, or not abandoned, but not occupied. So we've really been able to touch quite a bit of different places, and through the help of Sussex County, we've been able to really use these funds to target specific areas that they really felt have a need to either attract or retain businesses in. Before we get into the video, I'll just take a quote from Bill Poff, who was very excited that we were making a presentation on this program. He said, "The loan program is a great tool in an economic development toolbox to offer low-cost, long-term loans to attract and retain businesses in the county. The partnership between Discover and NDC is invaluable. It helps the county manage a loan portfolio and leverage the technical expertise of its partners." And if we could just click on that link, we'll be able to see a little bit more about our work in Sussex County.
Homeowners, if you are tired of paying too much money for electricity and have a history of
Hi, this is Mike Vincent, President of Sussex County Council. And today we're doing something we enjoy doing, visiting companies that have come to Sussex County to grow their business. We spend a lot of time with the County Council and County Administration trying to help companies grow, stay here, grow here, or move here.
National Development Council has been in operation for over 50 years. We do a lot of different things, but specific to our work here in Sussex County, we work with Sussex County and with Discover Bank to deliver low-cost, long-term financing to businesses that are either looking to come to Sussex County and make it their home, or we're looking to retain businesses within the county as well.
Discover Bank, as you know, is a consumer bank located in Greenwood, Delaware. We have an obligation here to give back to our community, and we felt utilizing the National Development Council and the 7A program, we could provide significant benefits to businesses in Sussex County, and it's great that Sussex County and the council was willing to step up and partner with us to make sure businesses in Sussex County get the best deals possible.
I'm Fletch Kenton. I'm with Peninsula Paving here. We're located in Georgetown, Delaware. This is Asphalt Alley. I started the business about 11 years ago in 2009. But our bread and butter here at Peninsula Paving, we are a road contractor and parking lot contractor, and we service all of Delmarva Peninsula from Wilmington to Pocomoke generally. So the county loan program was pivotal for our growth and our move here. And the Economic Development Office with Sussex County was very helpful all along the way. And Grow America Fund, we still have a great relationship with them now. So it's been pivotal for us.
I started my dog bakery in 2003 out of my shed, and now 18 years later, we sell to about 3,000 stores nationwide, and we employ about 58 to 60 people year-round. The county came to me and told me about this great loan program, and they loaned me the money that would allow me to purchase the land, build a 9,375 square foot new building that's going up in the next couple months. I'll be able to renovate the buildings on the highway that we purchased, and we'll have a full-service pet store with a dog bakery and a dog park.
So my name is CJ Spiro. I own Showtime Power Sports here in Seaford, Delaware. And what we do is we buy, cycles, ATVs from all over the country. We bring them here, we disassemble them, we sort them out, we post them online for sale, and then we sell them all over the world. I almost didn't believe it, when I started to research it and discover, Bill Poff and his team and what you guys do. It was hard to believe that a government agency, a government body would help. It just didn't seem right because in my experience, that's not the case. Anytime the government is involved or any kind of program from the government is involved, it's usually a bad thing. But I would say that Sussex Excite breaks that mold.
Looking at this footprint of Seaford and looking how businesses left, here's a business that was here, the hatchery was here, and it left Seaford. It wasn't for the Site Sussex program to provide some incentive to hopefully get a new tenant in here. I don't think it really would have been possible. I think our partnership with Sussex to be able to provide these gentlemen their loan, to be able to reutilize this building for a positive purpose, create jobs, is just an actually amazing story.
The loan program is amazing. It's a godsend. 25 years, 2.5% interest rate, and I was able to buy equipment that allowed me to automate. And we actually have custom-made equipment that helps us write on dog bones and things that 10 years ago I didn't even think was possible to do, but now it is possible, and I actually own one.
The terms, the interest rate, they were still 2 points lower than I've ever experienced. And I've done well over $10 million in real estate transactions. I have a long history of commercial loans with over 6 different banks, and I actually have made some good friends along that road, and I would tell them that the rates, I don't think they believed me. To have those rates in a commercial world is unheard of. And I would say that absolutely Sussex Excite has enabled us to do what we want to do here because of all those reasons.
You ever wondered what...
That also is not part of the presentation. All right, so now the technical fun. I can take this just step by step. Again, I would encourage if any of you have questions, please let me know as I'm going through this. But I just want it for everyone here tonight, for them to be able to see how a loan process works. Of course, we at National Development Council will be handling that process, but I think it's critical for understanding of the program to understand that process, and of course, as we've shown prior, to understand how that's going to impact businesses. But the way that it would work is that The first step would be that we would identify a project, or really the economic development director identifies a project and then refers it to the lender. After that project is identified, then we'll go about collecting some initial documents that include business tax returns, interim financials, personal tax returns, and a business financial statement or a personal financial statement as well. These are kind of the core application materials that we use to start to come up with an initial analysis and an initial structure to a deal. We'll do a site visit as well too, to fully understand not only the project, but to meet the person. So many times when we're working with small business owners, it's really the person that's powering that project. So it's critical that we meet with them. After we've collected those documents and after we've met with the potential borrower or applicant at this point, we'll do an initial analysis and we'll monitor and understand the cash flow that the business is throwing off. We're looking for a ratio at 1-to-1, which is slightly below and more competitive as compared to traditional lending. And really, this is an economic development tool. So that's why we're trying to be more aggressive with the cash flow, while at the same time underwrite appropriately and prudently so that we can manage risk. We'll look at collateral, and we'll understand how we can better collateralize the loan funds that we're going to be extending to this borrower. And then we'll also look at personal credit. This isn't supposed to be the type of program that's going to have a minimum credit floor, but rather what we're trying to do is understand what happened with a potential applicant's personal credit, how it is going to not happen again, and then to work with that borrower holistically to understand how their personal credit relates to their business's performance, and so on and so forth. So that's really the origination step in all this. That's where we're going to just come up with an initial structure. Then the next part is the underwriting. That's where we're going to tell the story of this business. We're going to send a term sheet to this borrower, outline a fixed rate, a long term, as you've seen referenced in the videos. And then we're going to write up that loan report and make a presentation to our committee, which our lending subsidiary at National Development Council is called Grow America Fund. And so we'll make a presentation of the project and of the loan vis-a-vis our loan report to our Grow America Fund credit committee. After we've had approval from that credit committee, we would then issue a commitment letter, and the borrower is going to accept that commitment letter and issue a deposit. The reason we ask for that commitment letter and that deposit is that at that point in time, then we're going to start our due diligence on the project, and we're going to work with our attorneys and with the other third parties that we engage to do environmentals, if there's commercial property, to do appraisals, if there's commercial properties, and so on and so forth. We'll also collect proof of insurance. Life insurance is a component of these respective loan programs. And then we'll schedule and conduct an in-person closing so that we can negotiate and bring that whole process to an end. But it doesn't just stop there. After we've closed a loan, we're going to assist that loan or provide servicing to that loan throughout the lifetime of the loan. You saw Paul O'Connor in the video talk about how we're going to continue to check in. And we do that so that we can maintain documentation on the loan, ensure that our SBA guarantee continues to be honored by the Small Business Administration, but also to discuss and solve problems as they arise, and really to identify future projects and funding needs with those same businesses. So that's the process in a nutshell through 4 steps, from origination, underwriting, closing, to our post-closing servicing. I'll let Linda speak to this as well, but really the program and how it would work is we're looking for $1 million investment in Kent County businesses, and we would need $750,000 to be approved by the Levy Court, and then for a grant from Discover of $250,000. With those funds together, that $1 million investment using that SBA guarantee could be leveraged at 1 to 4 times to generate $4 million in lending capacity. That's the program, that's how it would start, and that's how it would be initially structured.
And then I think, Matt, you want to talk about Discover's role and how, and really Matt explained this really good on a whiteboard for Mike and I, how the 750 turns into 4 million, and I finally got it. So.
Yeah, I'll try to save the finance lesson in general, but I guess just introduce myself. I'm Matt Parks. I've worked for Discover for 20 years. We've got a sole branch in Greenwood, Delaware. You may have passed by it on your way down Route 13. That bank is that I work for is about a $100 billion financial institution. And all the deposits of all Discover customers all over the country, deposits actually go to that bank there in Greenwood, Delaware. And I've had the pleasure and honor of being a Discover CRA officer. So not only do I get to work in the banking field, but I get to do good by working in the banking field. I've invested over $1 billion of Discover's funding in obviously small business programs, but also in a lot of affordable housing. I've been the main financer of our state housing program, mortgage program, that a lot of your residents have been able to get very favorable mortgages from. I think the easiest way to sort of explain it, I should actually mention that about 15 years ago when I sort of really got into this business of doing good, if you will, and I guess actually I should step back one too. The main part of my job is to comply with the Community Investment Act. Are you guys familiar with the Community Investment Act at all? Should I go into a little bit of detail? So, yeah, the Community Investment Act basically is a law that the federal government set up in 1977 that basically says if you take deposits, you have to lend to your community. And you will be judged on the amount of lending that you do to your community basically every 2 years. And you'll get rated on that, and if you're not having a satisfactory rating, the federal government can hold up any merger, acquisition, or any type of business opportunities that the bank would like to go into. So since I've taken over the program, we've got an astounding rating from the federal government every year, except for one where they downgraded my outstanding rating to satisfactory because of a lending program that Discover probably wasn't doing the right thing on. That's since been corrected. But that allows us to make sure that if we were to do mergers and acquisitions, we could do so without public scrutiny. So when I got into this job, try to understand what small businesses go through. I actually bought into a small business in Sussex County and Eastern Shore of Maryland. And while a lot of people and my friends play golf, I own a dry cleaner. And I've learned a lot by doing it. A lot of times, by doing it, you'll learn. And what I found in my own experience is when I went to borrow money, whenever they wanted to give me one of these SBA programs, they would charge me a higher rate. So I wanted to reach out, why were they charging me a higher rate? They said, well, we have to do more paperwork, all this other activity, but I'm thinking 75% of your loan is guaranteed by the federal government. Why are you giving me a higher rate? When I get my home mortgage, right, you put down 5%, 95% of it's guaranteed by the federal government, and you get the lowest rates possible, right? But in the commercial lending business, you got a higher rate. So what I found is going out to the markets in New York, I found out that the lenders are selling that secondary, the guarantee, that 75% guarantee on the secondary market. And when you buy that guarantee on the secondary market, the price you pay for it ends up being you get a very low return because it's federally guaranteed. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to pass on that federal guarantee, that benefit of the federal guarantee in terms of providing low cost of capital to an organization to then lend to businesses. And that's when I reached out and I found the National Development Council. They're a nonprofit, folks. They're the only nonprofit 7A lender in the whole United States out of New York, and we found them and brought them here to Delaware. And as Connor told him, we've been able to provide long-term fixed-rate financing as an economic development program for the city of Wilmington, for the state of Delaware, for Sussex County, and I'd love to help bring it to Kent County. Look, guys, this isn't something Discover's making a lot of money on. This is something, actually, we barely break even, to be totally honest. But what it is it provides back to our community to comply with the law under the Community Investment Act. And because we're a consumer-only lender who does small business loans, personal loans, home equity loans, and deposits, we don't do mortgages or small business, so we have to find partners. The mortgage side, we do state of Delaware and the mortgage business through the Housing Authority, and we do small business through the National Development Council.
So happy to answer any questions, and thank you both for...
I have a few questions before I open it up, please. In one of the testimonials, it talked about a long process. Once they got into the long process, what's considered a long process for a business?
Business owners are often looking for rate and term and speed and efficiency. But in order to unlock that guarantee that Matt was talking about, from underwriting all the way to close, you're looking at a process of about 90 days. So that's assuming that there's no, issues or problems that are found in due diligence. There could be problems like environmental concerns on the commercial property or other issues like that you can run into. But that is the long process that he's referencing.
The other question I have is, it's a great partnership from what I see, and it's working with the groups. Is there any negatives or any downfalls to this program?
There is money at risk, right? You want to talk about that part, Matt? You're the banker. There is money at risk.
Yeah, ultimately, with any lending, there is money at risk, and what we're hoping is that this thing can revolve year over year over year over year, and the 25% of the loan is at risk. The 75% of the loan is not at risk, which is why we'll be able to buy down the loans, which is why Discover is willing to commit some grant money to combine it with Kent County's financing to be able to bring the program to Delaware. It's the same thing we did for the city. It's the same thing we did for the county. It's the same thing we did for the state.
This one's for Mr. Pedramage. They're asking for $750,000. How much do we have in our strategic fund, Mr. Pedramage, or were we looking for funds on something else?
Thank you, Commissioner Angel. For this amount of money that we're speaking of, we would look to unrestricted reserves as opposed to the strategic fund. Strategic fund is set up for economic development purposes, but the amount we're talking about would deplete our current fund, and the recommendation would be to rely on fund balance or unrestricted reserves.
Sir? Any questions for anybody else? Ms. Masson?
Yeah, Linda, do you have any prospective businesses in mind that we could reach out to for this?
We do. In fact, I was with a business today that if this program was in place, I would have offered it to that business to expand here in our county in the existing business. Had I had this in the portfolio, I definitely would have used it today. And we want to target our industries. I think we've been pretty strategic, and we're doing really good in the small to medium manufacturing sector. This is not probably going to be used for retail, and commercial. This is going to be used in our targeted industries that we've had pretty good success for.
Ms. Masson?
Linda, what's the downside if Kent County Levy Court doesn't agree to this?
What's the downside? Well, we don't have the competitive edge. They can go to, Sussex, or they could go to Wilmington with their business, and they could, get that revolving loan. It just gives us another tool, and it's attractive. Some of the businesses don't mind a loan. And if we could offer one at an attractive rate, it just makes us that more attractive. And we're very fortunate, and I am grateful every day to Levy Court that somebody had the foresight to set up the strategic fund, because that has been invaluable in our quest to get businesses to locate here.
Linda, we were talking earlier, and of the 8 manufacturers we have in Kent County now in 3 years since we've all started this, and we have a 9th coming, would the 9th one be eligible for this?
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. I would have offered it today.
Anybody else? Commissioner Buckland?
Thank you. I'm going to ask some questions just so that I ask them. Some of them may come off as simplistic, but that's okay, because that's the question I'm going to get tomorrow, the next day, or one of those days when I run into somebody asking me about the program, of which I tend to support. So, in simple terms, and fortunately, you've been asked the question, the downside. More specifically, the risk, because I need to understand better. We have a $750,000 investment, but the risk would be a specific loan, and then what, 25% of that loan? Is that too silly to say? So, and 25% of that loan would be a shared portion. So really it's more like 10% or something like that, or what?
No, it's 25% of the loan.
5%.
So 25% of the loan is
Well, take out the 25% of that. 25% of 25%, which Discover, I guess, could do my math here quickly for you, because we're going to put in $250,000 grant as well. So that's part of the 25% as well.
That's what I was
correct.
trying to get to.
It's lower than 25%.
Oh, there you go. Okay. And then this thing's up and running, and it's 2 weeks later. What kind of loan are we looking at? What's that? Acme store just asked for a loan. Is it most of the loans $100,000, or is somebody going to ask for all of it?
No, and I think we've tried to set it up consistent with what Sussex criteria was, because they've had really good success with the criteria that they set. And I think it's like 250 up to $1 million or $2 million, something like that.
You, Linda. It's up to you.
So we can set it. I don't want to set it
like to do.
too low and just spin our wheels and not get the targeted industry that we're looking for. You know, we really are looking for large amount of jobs, or
sure.
You know, that's the goal.
It's
to
50
use
or
this
more.
as an incentive, so that, you know, it's not 2 jobs, or at least getting 10, 20, 25 jobs with this. Good paying jobs. So if someone
okay with it. Again, I just want to be able to answer it. So, you know, because I don't want us to be kingmakers. I want us to have it be a fair and competitive process as best we can. So there'll be some transparency. There'll be an acknowledgement from businesses who may want to access the loan, right?
Yeah, this is really...
They won't rely on us.
The way Sussex does it,
Okay.
they use it when Bill Plath goes out and meets with a business, or he's working with a business that trying to attract, or he's with a business where he's trying to get them to expand. He offers it. It's offered by the economic development director. It's not a free-for-all where everybody just calls up and applies.
It's not advertised from the standpoint of come one, come all. It's used as an economic development incentive tool in Sussex County.
And again, I did try to ask some of these questions in advance of the meeting and got hung up. That's okay. I didn't get time to get the questions answered. And this is all I have, which is okay, but it's why I'm going to hold the
Did
meeting
you get
up.
the sheet? Was there a sheet with it that explained? Yeah, right.
Yes.
The criteria, yes.
Which is fine. But anyway, so what you are saying is no, and that may be okay, but what you are saying is that you're identifying a business to offer it to versus informing businesses that this is an option and then having them inquire. Is there a way to have them inquire?
Absolutely, because we do what's called business retention and expansion visits. In fact, I was on one today with a different business than what I'm talking about. But we do that all the time with many of the employers. And if there's a need for a loan, we would certainly offer the Kent Revolving Loan Fund.
What I know to do is rely on Sussex is successful. I know that Linda's outstanding in what she does. I just need to make sure I answer the why didn't I know about it. Now, it's select group because there's not an overwhelming number of 50 and above employers, and you probably know them all. I know you do. Okay, last question, and this is more for Mr. Petit-Damage. Again, in supporting the program, and I do, 750,000 it's an all-in number. It's a big number, probably unprecedented, but I don't need the number of our reserves. I kind of have a sort of an understanding. You're comfortable with this request and this move?
If we are interested in creating this tool in the economic development toolbox, I think this is a wonderful opportunity to leverage money that isn't ours at very stable interest rates for long-term loans that can't be matched in the loan market. So it becomes a very attractive alternative for businesses. And the reason that, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason Discover is able to talk to us, he mentioned his CRA requirement. The bank is required to make these types of instruments available in low and moderate income communities. And we have parts of Kent County that meet that qualification, that are in their district, their CRA district, as is Sussex County. You mentioned they're headquartered in Greenwood. Part of the Greenwood area laps into Kent County. That's why we're here. So I think it is a great opportunity. Yes, there is risk. There's always some risk involved but are we positioned to accommodate that risk? I believe we are. Thank you.
One last one, fairly simple. I don't need the details, but in years past, there's always been a concern about the county getting into the loan business. I've not necessarily shared those same oppositions, except who administers it, who manages it. Have you already expressed who manages it? Is it Discover on? There you go. So we're good. So I know you manage the program, but who's managing the default and all that kind of stuff? All right, so there is none of that. All right, thank you. Good enough.
Yeah, it all has to be underwritten to the SBA guidelines. So the beauty of the program from the administration is that it has to meet the federal underwriting guideline, just like a home mortgage does. It has to underwrite an underwriting guideline. It's not the Kent County that's setting the underwriting guideline. It's the SBA, for which they have a preferred lender license to be able to make those loans.
And that's why we had Sussex County government, Gina, their finance, talk to Susan and Mike and talk about how they don't do anything. They book it at the end of the year, basically, a couple entries, and they are not managing it at all.
Which is why we're here. Nice job. Thank you.
Yeah, I will say one more comment, too. We didn't touch on it, too, but another big advantage is that this not being a bank-related program, if a business does run into trouble, we can work with them because there's nothing there to immediately require some sort of collection that a normal financial institution would have. And with NDC having a mission, and I encourage you to reach out to their website and see all the things that they've done over their history. They're there to work with the borrowers, and of course the last resort would be, some sort of foreclosure or collection, but they would work with these businesses to make sure that they have every chance of success.
Any further questions? Seeing none, move it to the business meeting. Show of hands. 6.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cuela. Remaining position descriptions.
Thank you, Chairman Angel. So, Commissioners, you may recall back in mid to late October, I was before you with quite a number of position descriptions, and these are the rest. We posted those last week. I think it's 104 that are remaining. This should take care of all the rest of the position descriptions. All employees will now have them, and we will be forwarding those to the employees to acknowledge those. At that meeting, I also floated the idea of transitioning the process of approving job descriptions to the county administrator. And I have drafted up a motion for you to consider that would do that. Obviously, as you can imagine, the routine changes to position descriptions, especially when you're trying to advertise, and the process we have right now can be a bit cumbersome. And in light of the change in the law for the county administrator, which provides some significant new authority for him, seemed an appropriate time to request. Personally, I'm requesting that the commissioners move forward with that motion so that minor changes to position descriptions can be approved by him or her, whatever the case is. Back to you, Chairman Angel.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Cuela? Seeing none? Oh, move it to the business section. 6 up, 1 absent.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Any public comments? Any public comments? Anybody online, Mark?
I see no hands raised to make comments at this time.
Back to you, Mr. President. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Planning Services Committee. Mr. Buxton, Chairman. Turn over to you, sir.
Miles is going to join us here momentarily.
Good evening. Come tonight before you to ask for Levy Court approval for a change order on contract number 19-17. The change order is in the amount of $625 for some shower and plumbing modifications. The reason for this is this will be a change order that takes the base contract price above $25,000. So, if anybody has any questions.
Any questions? So, this is 2 minutes. Your time, 2 minutes. Talk to us about the program and some of the complexities you're dealing with right now.
Okay, well, I think as far as the program goes, I don't think we're having any performance issues. I believe what we're having is a greater demand from the citizens of Kent County. We've taken on quite a number of people on our waiting list since basically the COVID lockdown started. Don't necessarily know why this is. I think it's probably because people were locked down at their homes and they might have seen things that they hadn't noticed before. Those same people that were locked down that had higher incomes were able to go out and take care of things, make home repairs on their own. Basically, our clientele, as you know, is low to moderate income. So we don't have any data to support that. It's just a generalization, I guess. But if you look at the numbers that have come in for people calling for assistance during that period, it grew exponentially. So one thing that I think we would like to do is get another staff member on board, a housing rehab specialist. We've been in conversation with the Delaware State Housing Authority, and they are willing to fund up to $50,000 for that position, which I think the county share after that would be about $30,000. So that's where we're at. We could really use an additional person, given the fact that our waiting list has grown.
In 10 seconds, what are some typical requests for assistance on a person's home? Roof? What you tell me?
A lot of roofs. We have some needs for handicapped access, accessibility in bathrooms, ramps. We get calls for windows, doors, floors, things of that nature. We do have a number of folks on our waiting list that we really can't provide assistance to at this time because they owe so many taxes. As a matter of fact, I was going through the list today, and especially in mobile home communities, some of these folks owe $10,000 in taxes, and they haven't paid taxes in a while. So those people, even though we put them on the waiting list, we generally have to have them get on a payment plan, which that's done through the finance office. Or every once in a while, you'll have a situation where somebody realizes that they need our assistance, so they find the way to come up with the money to pay their taxes. So, yeah, we get calls for all sorts of things.
I appreciate that. I only asked him to explain it a little bit because if you are all familiar, we dealt with this a while back where the funds were there. The program was kind of stalled because we just couldn't get out the door, couldn't meet the demand. Mike and his department have done a tremendous job of pushing a lot of the funding back out the door. The problem is that demand has increased significantly. So it's such a good program. We don't want a list that just grows and grows and grows when the funding's sitting there. So it might be something we need to consider, if not now, at least down the road. Anyway, but so thank you. Show of hands, do you support the change order? All right, we got a 6-0 on that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Any public comments? Any public comments? Any public comments online?
I see no hands raised on WebEx.
Thank you, Mr. President. Back to you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Public Works Committee. Mr. Howe, Chairman, you have 2 items.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Gold will come forward to explain some details here. I should mention that on both of these items, We're not seeking a motion, we're just looking for a nod of approval to give her direction on where to go on trash collection.
So, good evening, Commissioners. So the first item to talk about is the residential trash services contract. We were going to review the services. So the existing contracts are with Republic Services and Waste Industries. They expire on May 31st of 2022. Preparing for the bid process, we're looking to advertise in either late December, early January, more likely early January. The services for the contracts, we have two zones. It's generally north-south. Trash, I guess our districts have either 2 services or 3 services. They either have trash and recycling or trash, recycling, and yard waste service. So for each of the services, 5 items maximum is permitted, one of which is your original county can. And that may include a combination of privately owned 32-gallon cans. So yard waste collection is generally offered from April through December. We take yard waste bundles of branches less than 3 inches in diameter and no more than 4 foot in length. Bulk items are part of trash service. Household appliances, mattresses, furniture. There are some items that require special handling. For example, Freon must be removed from freezers and air conditioners. So in general, the past contract has been, this one was a little bit odd. We did it for 21 months, and then we extended it twice. So we're proposing that for the new contract, we would look at 3 years with 2 one-year extensions. Now, over time, I've heard that the commissioners ask about different services. Bags on the ground, going back to twice-a-week collection. With bidding the contract, I'm expecting that the prices will increase. And of course, if we add any services, that'll add on top of the price that we currently have and the expected increase. So that's what I wanted to bring before you tonight. Maybe there's an opinion on how long the contract should be, but generally we go with 3 years. Once you get beyond the 3-year time period, it's hard for folks to plan for what the price of gas will be and what the cost of disposal at the landfill might be. So I turn it back to you, Mr. Howell.
Basically, you want to you prefer to keep things the way they are and not.
I think that the status quo is good. I think we offer a good variety of service. Yeah. I think that folks would be disappointed if we cut back on our services.
Okay. And so I know we're not making a motion. You just want a nod of approval.
Or I don't know if the commissioners have any questions that they might be able to express, okay. help express their opinion on the item.
Okay, Mr. President.
On bulk items, what's the procedure for that? I mean, do they just set the item out and it's automatically picked up, or do our customers have to call?
Customers do not have to call in for bulk item service. They can always call in to ask if the item is acceptable. During COVID, we are having some problems with servicing bulk. So I would say that, and I've also seen an increase in problems with yard waste, where we've been seeing some sort of delays in services.
Gotcha. So would that require another truck in the neighborhood, or is that the same truck that picks up your household garbage? Would they take the bulk item?
Traditionally, there's one truck for each service in your neighborhood. Usually with the yard waste, there may be only be one truck, or with the bulk, what they do is they ride by your house. They would take your trash from your trash cans, and if you have a bulk item, they're going to call into dispatch and indicate that there's a bulk item here, and they'll return with a different truck.
Gotcha. That's what I was wondering, how they knew to pick up a bulk item.
So and depending on the service needs, that may be a truck that's rear loaded, where there are two people in the truck, or it could be someone in a pickup truck, depending on the item that's placed out.
Gotcha. Thank you for clearing that up for me. Thanks.
Ms. Buxton.
Commissioner Howe, you didn't see me. I'll be very simple, right? I like your line of thinking. I think that right now currently isn't broke. I think that we all remember the crazy times with trash back in the day. So if it's of your opinion that the current system is in fact effective, highly effective, and I believe that's your opinion, then I would ask us to stay the course. So if you wanted my opinion, there it is.
Thank you.
I agree with you, and that's really all she's looking for. All in favor of just maintaining what we have right now. 6 up, and the next one's going to be almost identical.
So the next item is the commercial trash services. It's also being proposed for bid. The existing contract, started as 21 months. We've had 5 change orders. Some of them added additional container sizes. This contract is for the county's office buildings, parks, pump stations, and the wastewater treatment facility. Generally, the price increases when we've extended the contract have been for a 2% increase in the unit prices. The contract is currently with Republic Services. But again, it was awarded back in 2016, and we've had multiple extensions. It expires June 30 of 2022. With this trash contract includes unit pricing for 20 cubic yard roll-offs for 4 times a year. For Storm Isaias, both the commercial contract, this contract with Republic, and the residential contract with Waste Industries, also known as Green for Life, were utilized to provide the roll-off dumpsters that were used for the tornado cleanup. What we're looking at, what I'm proposing is that the new contract period be 3 years with 3 one-year extensions. It is anticipated that there's going to be an increase in bid prices, and just wanted to put that all in front of you.
So, again, how would you succinctly tell us what exactly you need?
We're looking for the status quo here. However, I may need some input from perhaps the Department of Community Services, from the Facilities Management Division, just to ensure that their containers that they have are the right size. So again, what I'm mostly looking is that the commissioners know what's going on, that this is going out for bid, and that we're looking to keep it the same and or basically change some container sizes. So there's really no action that's needed here, unless the commissioners have some advice that they'd like to see something change.
Okay, you have any problems with that? Everybody agree? Any comments from the audience? In the atmosphere or here?
No takers on WebEx at this time.
I can't believe nobody wanted to make comments about trash collection. I mean, that's a hot item, All right, well, Mr. President, back to you.
Thank you. The next item is Community Services Committee. Mr. Sweeney is chair. Turn it over to you, sir. You have one item.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe this contract was put together by Mr. Pedvange.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. I'd like to invite Mr. Gunn to join us at the table in the front of the room. And while Mr. Gunn's arriving, just a brief word about what you received in your packet. Provided a package of information to you for your consideration relative to the property that we commonly refer to as the Lewis Drive property, which was 17.9 acres of land that was dedicated to the Levy Court. We received title to it in 2009, and it was dedicated parkland that was associated with the Verona Woods subdivision. And I'm losing commissioners left and right here. They're just walking out of here. I'm not sure where they're going. But the Commissioner Buxton had, about a month ago, introduced me to Mr. Lamar Gunn, who's with us this evening, who has an interest in the Verona Woods or Lewis Farm property as a potential lease. And we've met several times. We've had very good meetings. Mr. Gunn has formulated his concept for how this property would be utilized. He's here to discuss and present that to you this evening. And it's summarized in the materials that were provided to you over the weekend. And in those materials, there is a draft lease that is essentially modeled after the lease that we formerly had on this property with the Central Delaware Soccer Association. And you'll recall that the CDSA, as we know it, had requested termination of their lease in 2020, and Levy Court proceeded along. But the original term for that lease was anticipated to be a 35-year lease for $1 per year. CDSA did make improvements to the property. They developed 2 soccer fields and parking area and entrance, and they provided electricity to the property and so on. And but since the time that they've left, the county primarily has been just maintaining it at a minimum level of mowing and that sort of thing. And we really haven't put it to active use. And so the property is, I believe, with some attention, would be a great venue to resume active recreation on it. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Gunn, and he has a presentation he'd like to share with you, and he may also want to expand a little bit on his organization, which is known as the Delaware Recreation Education, Athletics, and Mentoring Foundation or Association. And also in your packet was the copy of the Certificate of Incorporation for that non-stock corporation. Mr. Gunn.
Thank you. To all the commissioners, county leaders, I appreciate your time, and thank you for this opportunity to restore hope to underrepresented youth throughout our community and to improve the quality of life for all those who live here in Kent County. Tonight's conversation is centered around the opportunity to build upon the great work you all have been doing during these unprecedented times. Before I move forward, I want to kind of massage your memory of August 28th, 1963. The Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. uttered the words, "I have a dream." Fast forward 58 years, and now here we are with an opportunity to build upon Dr. King's dream. So, by meeting with you tonight, I hope to cover 3 things. 1, dream as an organization. Number 2, the opportunity to change lives in Kent County. And number 3, the location where dreams become reality. And number 3, which I believe you already know, the location, the Lewis Farm, or Verona Woods open space property. I really love the opportunity that you have there. I can remember times where I drive by and that place was bustling with kids and families, you know, enjoying themselves and recreating and having a good time. So I'm kind of happy and sad about the opportunity, because when I see it today, and when you see it as well, it makes you think, but I'm more optimistic in looking at the opportunity that we have to change lives there. So why is this initiative important? In the words of the Honorable Frederick Douglass, it's easier to build strong children than to fix broken men. COVID has been very hard on my family I know it's not unique, right? I'm sure each of you have had some challenges. I don't know to the length or extent, but this past, I would say 6 months or so, when I had an opportunity to spend time with kids in the community, my own son playing sports, playing 2 sports at one time, I tell you, it puts a toll on the family, each kid. But it saddens me to see kids that look like me, that don't have parents or opportunities or resources, rather, to recreate like my son and possibly your kids as well. So I saw a challenge, and I reached out to Commissioner Buxton and shared with him some thoughts and concerns, and I'm sure most of you have heard me in my voice of frustration over the last probably a few months or so about the condition facing black and brown kids throughout the county. Not being one to sit around and complain, and my good friend Commissioner Buxton, of course, if I did that, would give me a nice smack upside the head to remind me to go out and do something about it. So came up with the idea of forming the Delaware Recreation, Education, Athletics, and Mentoring Company to add on or complete more of the work I had already been doing in the community with an organization called Camp Wall Street, where it's an education component where we take black and brown kids and make them owners in publicly traded companies. This past year, we took 30 kids around the state to Wisfis Bank as shareholders and had them speak on the agenda to boards of directors and people who I would say their net worths were well in excess of 7 and 8 figures. And it was the first time anything like that had happened in the history of publicly traded companies, and it happened right here in Delaware. So that's one of the things I'm extremely proud of from an education standpoint and financial literacy, is breaking the cycle of poverty. So what is DREAM? And from an athletic standpoint, it's sports done differently, right? Our mission, which I believe you have as well, but is to break intergenerational cycles of poverty and struggle by equipping youth with the necessary tools to succeed on the field, in the classroom, and through life's journey. Our vision, to spark economic and social upward mobility by intervening in the lives of children through sports, education, and financial literacy. Once again, I'll return back to COVID because as a parent who barely survived virtual kindergarten, I had a courtside view of what it was like to see or hear an 8-year-old sibling helping her younger brother log in to his kindergarten class while participating in class herself, right? Then I also had learned of students who received school-issued Chromebooks but had no electric or Wi-Fi. So what does all this have to do with local sports? Well, seeing a need to bridge the gap for youth who participate in organized sports over the fall and winter, I've noticed a huge drop-off for the spring and most of the summer for financially challenged and single-parent households. I could sit here and I could cry and moan all night, but like I said, I'm a good friend of Commissioner Buxton, so I believe I'm amongst solution-oriented people here. And that's, of course, what we're here to talk about, which are the solutions. And I'll come back to that in a second. The solutions. You guys are doing a fantastic job with Parks and Recreation, I'll say that. I think it's Mr. Shepard, Jeremy. I've met with Commissioner Sweeney out at the Lewis Farm. And I take my hat off to you because I've had a chance to visit the Boys and Girls Club, and I think it's Kesserline Park Field. It's a great facility, the turf field there. However, I think your success has even been to a point where some kids don't have the same access, meaning you have a wonderful opportunity at that location. However, like I said before about the kids who are issued Chromebooks but don't have electric or Wi-Fi, it's kind of difficult if kids don't have an opportunity or don't have the resources to get to the facility. So I'm sure you guys have already figured this out or have been working on it rather, but I'm hoping that I could be part of the solution at that location and also at the Lewis Farm. But getting back to why I'm here with the Lewis Farm, I'm reminded of the words of President Roosevelt, who once said that people really don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And as leaders, and also to whom much is given is another quote that I'd actually learned or heard Reverend Rita Page often say in service. Much is required. We must show our brothers and sisters and children that we love them regardless of color and are committed to their success. So what does all of that mean? We can't have programs that we have soccer for a season and then we have a banquet and that's it. That works for most of the population. What I understand is that for black and brown boys especially, we have to stay engaged with them year round. Most of the trouble I'm finding that the kids are getting into, like I said at the beginning, occurs over the summer and the spring. Guess what? There's no football at those times. There's no basketball, really, outside of what you have in some neighborhood parks and so forth. So what do? What I'd like to do is create a new model that says, I'm going to be in touch with your teacher, the principal. They're going to email us how you're doing throughout the year. If your books aren't together, no books, no ball. All right? Not just are we focused about winning championships and how you perform on the field. I'd like the Lewis Farm to give me an opportunity to take kids on college tours. Over the last decade or so, I've taken hundreds of kids to HBCUs around the country on college tours. I want to step that game up. And I think through this opportunity, I can take kids going forward on college tours to Ivy League schools. From right here out of Dover, Delaware, I want us to take a trip to Yale. I want to take kids from New Street to Brown, to Penn. And if you don't think it's possible, meet Mr. B.J. Watson. BJ's from the inner city of Baltimore. He's like a nephew to me. Had Division I scholarships all over the country. He chose Harvard. Harvard. And what he said and why he chose Harvard was that he wanted to be around the most brilliant minds and motivated individuals. Baltimore, we know, I don't know if you watched the show, The Wire. I couldn't take more than one episode. But it gives you a peek into what life is like if you live in that type of urban setting. And Baltimore is not too far, but you don't have to go to Baltimore to see how it really is. You could go right to New Street and spend an hour in the evening, not during the day, but just don't do it alone. But, I've spent hours talking to people on the corners along that little corridor, and it does hurt me to see kids, young kids, even out at 10 o'clock at night because they're parenting themselves, right? So we have to do something different. I think the opportunity comes in expanding youth sports. My plan is to start kids as early as 3 years old and bringing a connection to them. Of course, 3-year-olds aren't going to play tackle football, but I think there's an opportunity, which you already have going in flag football, and then progressing towards tackle. I also want to cover the girls in the community, which we often forget. I have 3 daughters, all right? None of them know a clue, just like their dad, about lacrosse, all right? However, having been in meetings over the last month or so with USA Lacrosse, I'm sold. I'm sold on the opportunity. And I asked the guys, well, why don't more kids of color play lacrosse? And then they started sending me numbers as to equipment. And I said, okay, well, that's why kids of color don't play lacrosse, right? So what are you going to do about it? And I was on a call today, actually, with some of the folks out of Baltimore in USA Lacrosse. What are you going to do about it? They've stepped up and committed to hosting clinics for me in February to celebrate Black History Month, where we give kids equipment. You know, I'm going to, of course, supply some of that, but they're really picking it up and helping us out tremendously. One of the other things with football that I'd like to share with you, and I know I'm going long, is football, it seems like a declining sport. You have, my son's football team meets right behind this building and has practice. It's dangerous. And I can tell you, I've witnessed the trauma firsthand as a NCAA Division I referee or crew chief. That's what I do on weekends. Most people don't know that, but I do that so that I can stay connected to the boys after coaching many years. You know, one of the things that I'd like to implement in Delaware, which is currently not being done, is requiring or making it mandatory for youth boys to wear a protective covering on top of their helmet during practice. During practice is when most of the injuries occur to young boys. All right, and these injuries, and shamefully, being involved in the sport for 25 plus years and coached hundreds of boys, I see the kids that I had at the age 6, 7, and 8, a few of them are struggling with brain trauma and trying to make it throughout life, you know, and I just feel guilty that we didn't know, you know, 25 years ago or 20 years ago that those big hits weren't that cool. We know now. So it's time to do something about it. Just to give you an idea as to what that looks like, that's the protective covering. It has to become mandatory for youth football. And I'm hoping to at least here in Kent County show others that it can be done. That happens to be my son. He hates wearing it. He tells me he looks like Mr. I think Bagoo. But I tell him, son, this is for your own good, and because he's a pretty stud type of athlete, the kids don't tease him too much. But I think that's an important move for tackle football going forward. But the focus for me in the Lewis field is not just to give the Dover CR Raiders and the Kent County Stallions a place to call home, which both of those teams have registered hundreds of, more than 300 kids between them from top to bottom, cheerleading and parents. But it's to transition the kids towards lacrosse. So I'm pulling from some of the best athletes in the county to form the first ever lacrosse team in Delaware, made up primarily of black and brown boys. Is it open to all kids? Of course. But I already know that I'm picking from the Stallions and the Raiders. Those kids look like me. Those kids can't afford a lacrosse uniform. I am leading the charge, and out of my own pocket as well, paying for that $600 per kid to be uniformed to play lacrosse in the spring. All right, are there lesser expensive options? Yes. To attract the type of kid and make them committed to this process, that's what I have to do. The way sports are competitive today, kids aren't going out looking like they're less than. Unfortunately, that's what I have to do to attract kids and their families to lacrosse. Part of it is looking good. So I'm going to do that. February, plan to do something to honor our soldiers and raise money for soldiers. but also to bring some attention to Black History Month, we want to launch the lacrosse program February 26th of 2022. And I have support from USA Lacrosse to come in and run a free clinic for kids throughout the entire state right here at the Lewis Farm or wherever it's going to happen. But my prayer is that it happens at the Lewis Farm. A little bit about my experience. I've talked about this throughout. I've been doing Division I college football for quite some time now. I started out in Pop Warner. Recently, I had an opportunity to come to Delaware State this past spring and help some guys, local guys who were interested in college football, to get a look from MEAC officials and coordinators. They invited me to be the crew chief, although I work in the Northeast Conference, but to help guys, especially officials of color, to break into college football, because just like lacrosse, there aren't many people that look like me at that level. So to the main point, the site. Like I'd said earlier, why it saddens me to see the field in this condition, knowing how promising I would see cars up and down the street, not just in the parking lot, wrapped around the corner, almost out to the highway. But what warmed me up the most was just seeing the number of kids just running around having fun. All right? With your help, this field is no longer going to look like this. I'm looking forward to getting into this location this month and doing some things to stabilize it. One of the big concerns is the fencing and perimeter and so forth. Since I probably visit the site at least once a week, and I notice different things every time I get to walk around out there. Recently, the big thing has been, as you saw on the previous slide, kids taking their ATVs and doing donuts and so forth in the parking lot. I don't know how you stop that with a split rail fence or the type of fencing. I don't know if it's possible, but I think once they see a presence, maybe some of that will die down. There's some of the fence that can still be salvaged. I would like to go through this pile of fence posts that are kind of located towards the back of the property and see what we can salvage. There also appears to be a number of old soccer posts and goals. You know, my kids are used to playing and recreating with nothing. So I think we can utilize a lot of the stuff that was left behind and repurpose it for lacrosse, of course, soccer as well, and football. So, you know, there's a look as to what we're dealing with right now. Through my fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, I'm hoping, and I've arranged to have brothers help me, and also through the local Prince Hall Masons, to help me kind of get the parking lot, the field, and some other things taken care of. I understand that there's irrigation there also, but it needs repair. I don't know what that means as far as, or what to expect on an 18, 17 acre property with irrigation, that cost. So I haven't budgeted for that, at least for the first year. If it was something that was cost prohibitive, we would play without it. But I'm hoping that I'm believing that it's just probably a couple of breaks here or there, and the cost won't go through the roof. So what have we talked about today? We've talked about DREAM. We've talked about the opportunity to change lives in Kent County. We've talked about starting a new chapter at the Lewis Farm. So with that, I'm ready to go to work on preparing and prepping the site to be a blessing to hundreds, if not thousands, of kids next year. Like I've said this throughout, COVID whipped up on all of us pretty good. But it taught me that there's no time to dream small dreams or to look backwards. So in the words of Dr. King, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Let's move forward together. I pray that each of you are as excited as I am about getting started and getting kids back to having fun out the Lewis Farm again. With that, I thank you for your attendance, engagement. I know it's been a long night, and I appreciate your support this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Gunn. That was a great presentation. I mean, I think I was already sold before, but just tells me that you have a passion for this, and I hope passion takes you very, very far. Do you have any idea how you're going to pay for some of the stuff that you mentioned needs to be done at that field?
Yeah, well, initially I thought, and I almost wound up divorced when I told my wife that I'm committed to this, whatever it takes. And she said, well, how much is, I'm in finance, so everything has to come with a budget. And to look at the numbers first. And the preliminary numbers take me up to a little over $100,000 to run this program in year one. I'm blessed that I've already made some partnerships to help offset that. USA Lacrosse has stepped up pretty big in supplying clinics throughout the year, paying memberships, helping certify coaches for free. People are coming out of the woodwork, and I do realize that this is not about me. It's about the kids, and every person that I tell that this is a possibility, they raise their hand and say, I'm in. So I don't think I'm going to have to shoulder the entire burden. It's because, once again, this is not just Lamar save all of black and brown kids. This is something that we have to do together. Do I want to be successful? Yes. Am I going to do the heavy lift? Yes. But the county, folks from around the state, USA Lacrosse, USA Football, the NCAA, the DIAA, a lot of people are interested in seeing this work because of the opportunities that kids will get. We're going to take from Kent County a group of highly talented and athletic kids that look like me, and we're going to beat kids, all right, at DE Turf in New York, in North Carolina. We want to take this show on the road. Is it going to happen in February? No. But I know that in time, you all will be happy to see kids like Chloe Jones, who signed last month from Dover to Syracuse University. You got two kids from right here, black girls who are full ride to Syracuse who play lacrosse. They're one of like 1,000. That's going to change. So, but I'll tell you, it's a great question. The finances are always important. A big part of the budget happens to come in the mowing and maintenance, right? The equipment, lacrosse goals aren't cheap, but cutting 18 acres, the estimates that I've received, they're pricey. So, a lot of my focus is connecting with the kids and their parents around downtown and throughout the county. It would be a huge help if I could somehow or another shift that somewhere else. That would be a great piece off the budget, a heavy lift, because yes, the equipment, the officials, the cost of lining fields, it's not a turf field. So the cost of paint has tripled since I was lining football fields. Nowadays, it's like a lost art. People just have turf. You don't have to pay to line fields, but that's where we are, and that's what we're going to do. But it's expensive.
So along with signing the contract, you're looking for assistance in managing, at the very least, the mowing of the grass?
Right. I know how to program and run tournaments and set up leagues. I've done that for quite some time. And with the Raiders, they're coming in already with an operation. The Stallions are coming in with an operation. My responsibility is to build a lacrosse program. But mowing, yeah, I got a John Deere zero turn that would not make it probably one day, right? I don't know if I would want to be on it one day. I like my 20 minutes around my house. I don't like 6 hours, you know. So, but yeah, if there would be a huge benefit if the county could consider, you know, doing what you've been doing, I guess, for, I don't know, however many years, and if not, I mean, I'm from South Central Los Angeles, right? So we make it happen.
So, Mr. Pettimage, in reading the contract that was provided to us, that's not mentioned in the contract.
That's correct.
It's not mentioned, it's not excluded. And I think it's a point that needs to be discussed. I know in speaking with Mr. Gunn, we've talked about this topic. And I think I've also had a conversation with Commissioner Buxton. And we've been mowing it for 2 years now, roughly, and not using it. And I thought maybe we were mowing it once every 2 weeks, but I talked with Director Shepard, and he told me now during the growing months, we've been mowing it once a week, and but no one's using it. So we've absorbed that cost. If we believe in this program and this vision that Mr. Gunn has laid out before us, I would suggest that we consider that as part of the assist to get this up and running, that we can absorb that a little longer. But that's just me. It's ultimately your decision. But you're right. I mean, it's not. We left that somewhat neutral in the draft document at this point.
So, Mr. Gunn, how many students do you think you're going to impact in your wildest dreams? Seriously.
In my wildest
in your
dreams,
wildest dreams,
more than 100 in year one. I have 300 kids to choose from, and I wish I could take all of them, but I can't afford. I can't afford it, and I hate to turn kids away. That's why I'm doing this, because this is an opportunity to save lives. This is a matter of life or death for some kids, right? So cost is not really the issue. I know that if we get this done, you know, black and brown kids from around the country who've reached out to me and told me about their transition into lacrosse, they say it changed their life, and they transitioned from football or basketball, and they wish they had learned about lacrosse earlier. So, yeah, I'm all in, and I think when people like Chas Woodson, Chloe Jones are out there, like we have red, black, and green uniforms, right? Kids are going to get excited about it, and my fear is that I won't have enough equipment to you know, take care of all the kids. But it's no doubt in my mind that, you know, my limit or my minimum is somewhere around 60, and my max is at 100. And that's only because of the different levels, meaning the juniors up to the 10 and unders, 12 and under, and 14 and unders. There are 4 different teams. But then, I'm sorry, that was just boys.
Oh, okay.
That was boys. But
And you have 3 daughters, and all you're worried about was boys for a few minutes?
Well, they're all cheerleaders, and that's my fault. They're all cheerleaders for their little brother. They show up, he has his own entourage, and, you know, he signs autographs for his big sisters going into games. I mean, it's crazy. But that's my fault that I didn't have something that I could send them. I mean, they're his sisters, except for his younger sisters, too. But my older girls are in high school, and it's kind of like my one is going to try lacrosse. She's a sophomore at Poly, but realistically, I mean, lacrosse isn't something you're going to pick up and dominate in one sitting or one season. So, I know that there has to be some level of support and interest from the girls. I don't want to leave the girls left behind in the community.
So you see this growing, year 2, year 3?
I see Dover being the spot in this region to come in recruit top talent to major schools around the country, because we found a way to connect with kids that are superior or top talent, and we've put lacrosse sticks in their hands, both girls and boys.
Right. And we know what programs like this from Henlopen Shores to D-Turf and Kirkwood have done for sports for youth in our state. So I see this as a great opportunity. If you don't mind, Mr. Shepard, can I get you to come to the dais real quick? So, Mr. Shepard, we've been cutting the grass. Do you have any idea what's the amount of time and cost associated with cutting the grass?
So we just had a conversation today about that very fact in our staff meeting. It takes our staff approximately 4 hours a week. That's 2 people, 2 mowers to maintain that grass. One of our staff members also does grass on the side. He indicated that not commercial, but residential grass is cut about $1 a minute. Given the fact it was 4 or 5 hours, we're talking about $300 a cutting if you wanted to go get it on the side. With Kent County staff, you're looking at $22 an hour, not without benefits per person, equipment costs, something like that. So you're looking at probably $200, for a cutting per week. The grass surface that's out there does require cutting that in those intervals. That's why we continued to cut it after we took it back from CDSA, because we didn't want to see it in a year or 2 years' time, depending on when we could get back on it, to be, just have to redo the entire thing. So that's what we talked about.
All right, thanks. Mr. Buxton, first of all, thanks for your participation in this and getting this started. You have questions, please.
Maybe we'll speak right to the grass first, because that's one that's kind of hanging us up a little bit, and rightfully so. And the point that I would make is maybe twofold. Number one, with or without Mr. Gunn being here tonight, we still have a grass cutting commitment out there. With Mr. Gunn here tonight, we have a grass cutting partnership. And that's all we have to do, is continue to do what we've already have to do anyway. We're just asking the county, I would suggest asking the county to stay in that game. And why would they do that? Because of the vision that Mr. Gunn has painted and how it would impact the county, and why that would be a significant benefit to the young folks in this area. You mentioned the vision. Here's my vision. This is a monumental lift. Like the previous application, the $750,000, you have to agree that the risk reward is there, right? That's what we're betting on, because there are no guarantees. If somebody can get it done, if there's anybody in the county can get it done, Lamar's the guy. But with that said, it's still a reach. Committing to keeping the grass cut and then revisiting it a year from now, 2 years from now, I'd suggest 2, might be a fair request, but not committing to it, you're kind of incentivizing the likelihood it could fail. And I think that would be a big mistake. I just do. So I think it's worth the cost. It's worth the risk, the same way I think the program presented to us earlier would be. And with this one, a couple of just points to make, and that is, Mr. Gunn's correct. I did call him out because he's, and not in a negative way, but I was like, we're doing a very good job. I expressed the partnership and what our attempts were to make that a vision that it's actually come to be, and what we try to do with parks. And I say we, it's certainly the staff. And I said, look, there's opportunities out there. If you think you can impact, you can do it better. Not better, but you can do something. Have at it. Well, here we are. He didn't blink, which is why I think that we will be successful in this venture. I said the risk reward, benefit to the county. You know, at the end of the day, what's the what if? What if? I asked the same question of the money. Where's the risk? Who pays it back? What's the county on the hook for? What if? You always have to ask, what if? What if it goes away? What if it doesn't work? Nothing. We still have the land. We're still in the same situation we are today. All we did was provide an opportunity for something big to happen. And that's what the plan is. That's what the intent is. That's what Mr. Gunn's going to tell you will happen. But for us voting, we have to recognize the risk, and the risk is almost nothing. We gave it a good go. At the end of the day, we could be right back where we are in a few years' time, 5 years' time, whatever it is. The same thing we did with the CDSA when we provided them the same opportunity. They had a wonderful experience. It eventually didn't work out. The land returned to us, and for that moment in time, it was a wonderful experience for the kids that participated. There you are. That was probably a little longer than I needed to be, but there you go. So thanks.
Commissioner Angel.
Thank you, Commissioner Meany. Good to see you, Lamar. Great program, what you're trying to put out here. A couple questions, though. I know you said you're going to get involved with each student and keep on contact with a mentor and them all through the process. Having been a teacher and tried to do that in my classroom, it's almost impossible to keep in tune with every kid, even working Saturdays, Sundays, and you know, everybody has life expectancies. The wife has certain honey-do lists and things, as you well know. So don't get yourself in trouble, is what I'm trying to say. On the contract, I have a question for, I guess, our attorney. The Dream Team shall not create or permit or any lien or encumbrance. Can you explain what that exactly means? Because to me, that means you can't go into debt and use the land as collateral, correct?
Exactly.
All right, what's it mean?
It means just that.
Don't take any loans.
To get a mortgage. I mean, to
keep it. I want it in the KISS principle. You know, break it down for me. I mean, it's a contract, so.
Yeah, no, it's a lease. No pledging of the leasehold interest for a loan, for example.
Okay, it's a lease. That's right. Okay. Just wanted to be sure, because you know, as you're reading this stuff, there's a lot of things that pop up when you start going through it, and I just wanted to be sure. The other thing is too, Lamar, is I know when I was on the school board, equipment has a certain life expectancy, and then you have to replace it, which comes with a financial cost, which is part of your financial plan and when that takes place, which it's not cheap. So, and of course, when something breaks, it's even worse because then you can't utilize it in case somebody gets hurt. Do you have any plans right now? I mean, I know you're just getting off the ground just looking at it, but I know it's got to be one of your goals to make sure that doesn't happen.
Right. I mean, that's a great question. And as to Mr. Shepard, as I've been reviewing and starting to put this all together myself, this is nothing compared to what, I mean, he has to do over there at Parks and Rec with all the programs. This is one program that I'm responsible for that will keep the lights on there, which is the lacrosse program. And you're right, lacrosse kids come with their own equipment at like all levels. So, you know, one of the parents who's donated a set to us already showed me her bill last week to Voodoo Lacrosse in Camden. It was $800. That's not even including the uniform. And I'm like, well, geez. That's why there's, of course, the barrier into this. And with the lifespan of football equipment, for instance, it's usually 3 to 5 years, but you get helmets reconditioned, shoulder pads you can use, you know, for quite some time. You know, lacrosse equipment just went through a change with the shoulder pads to protect the heart and so forth from the ball and the impact. So that's a big hit, but I understand that every few years that we'll have to upgrade the equipment. If this works how I plan, we won't be worried about
the cost of new equipment in 3 years. All right, the heavy lift or major expenses are going to come up front. And by supplying the equipment to the kids and building the buzz and getting a track record, I can make this happen in year 1, and year 2 and year 3 is just going to be momentum carrying us all the way through beyond my short time or sojourn on the planet and yours. You know, I'm hoping that this goes well beyond my lifetime. All right, and I think lacrosse has been around since 1400s. It's the first sport. It just hasn't been played by, you know, kids of color because they haven't been exposed to it. And we're changing that. And there are plenty of lacrosse programs in the area. However, there aren't any that go to New Street and pick them up and say, you're going. All right? The parents trust me. If I say this is what we're doing, you have to put little Mo on this lacrosse team. They give him one more opportunity to make it to college. They do it. And yes, that's something that I think about. So I'm on the clock, and we'll make it happen.
I know you may not know this, but a lot of my commissioners know that I bought a tractor years ago to help my constituents. You're in my district for this whole area. So I will make a commitment to you that when you need help, you give me a call with my tractor and I will be there. I just got to give me time to get my schedule squared away and give me enough time, because unless it's a disaster when things go haywire, that's how I have to do things. So, but I will be more than happy to help you on that piece of property. Can't spend 8 hours cutting grass, but I will definitely help whatever I can do. So just wanted to let you know. Thank you, sir.
Promise not to only have a push mower in that shed. So at least a John Deere. No.
Mine's a John Deere too.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I keep reading through this document and hearing the word lease. Okay, ordinarily when something is leased, there's money involved. Okay, are we thinking about charging him to set this up? That whoever wants to answer it. And the other question that I'm concerned about is liability. I do not want the county to make any money off of you. Okay. But anyway, who can answer that?
Thank you, Commissioner Happ. Again, this draft is modeled exactly after the lease that we provided to CDSA, Central Delaware Soccer Association. It was a 35-year term. That's what we have in here, for $1 per year. And it also has in here that the organization, the leasee, must maintain liability insurance to cover themselves, and the level is covered in the lease as well.
So if Billy goes out there and he's playing lacrosse and he breaks his leg, we can't be held accountable for it according to the legal agreement.
Well, I mean, we own the property. I suppose we could get caught into a lawsuit because we own the property, but the requirement is for the organization to be insured and carry liability insurance at acceptable levels to the county, which would be equivalent to the same that we required CDSA to have.
Right.
Well, if this goes through, I'll donate the first dollar.
Thank you. Then I'll keep my dollar in my pocket. No, I'll need
For a rainy day.
I'll need it. You'll keep me married.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Gunn or for staff on the contract itself? Seeing none. Lamar, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. You did a great presentation. I really don't see any problem, so move this forward to the ensuing.
Well, as you see, there was no motion put forward because I wasn't sure if you were going to have conditions or things that you were going to want in or out. But if this lease, as we've described here tonight, meets with your acceptance now, what I would like to do is draft a motion for your consideration next week. We meet next week in business, and you can consider that motion.
Okay.
There. Unless you're ready to do it tonight and can do it without a script. That's all. Thank you.
Commissioner Angel?
Just a quick question. Lamar, you're going to be the owner of this, right? Is there going to be anybody after you if something should happen to you?
Yeah, so it's just not, like I said, it's not about me. So one of the major parties in pushing this and helping me with the lacrosse program is Bill Chairs. He's an attorney out of Maryland. He's also a member of the Princeton all-time lacrosse team. He happens to live a few doors away from me. So, and he works out of Baltimore. So, and I'm constantly just reviewing people who have raised their hand to support. So I'm building, I already have 4 members on a board. So, and I'm sure that's going to grow once we can launch this.
Yeah, thank you. I just saw your name on this, that's all. No other board members or anything.
Oh yeah, no. I formed the corporation. I'm the founder and executive director for the time being until we get everything up and running. But then I'm looking to bring in the people to really take it to the next level.
Mr. Pettit.
I just wanted to say that typically the way a motion would look would be that Levy Court, if you were inclined to move forward, you would authorize the president of Levy Court to execute the agreement or the lease agreement on your behalf, and that would be accomplished when all the ancillary things, mainly like an insurance certificate and things of that nature, were secured, and we're ready to have it executed. But that would be the last official act by Levy Court would be.
So next week it'll be a 2-part motion.
It could be a 2-part or just a single motion, but it's going to authorize the president to execute upon completion of all necessary details or something like that effect.
Mr. Gunn, is that okay if we move this to next week for approval? Not going to hinder you in any way?
I don't believe so.
And you already have the dollar commitment, so you're good to go. All right, consent to move this to next Tuesday's business meeting with an approved motion. Scene 6. Okay. Any public comment on this topic? Also, to remove that from the ensuing business meeting as well. Any public comment on this? Anybody online, Mr. Kennedy?
I see no hands raised online.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
Back
you.
to you, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I
Great
apologize.
presentation.
I just, it's late in the day for me. I had a long day, but as far as insurance is concerned, each of the sports as well that we become members of the national organizations, they also offer insurance as well. So for injuries and those types of things. So we'll have more than enough insurance as well. So layers of it.
Yeah, thank
you.
What do you got there?
Oh, and I'm sorry. I told you it's been a long day for me, but this is a look of, this is the jersey where we plan to play lacrosse for 6 to 8 hours. I haven't decided fully yet, but USA Lacrosse dropped off about 100 of these to me last week, which is the jersey. It's reversible, and it's possibly we'll go with this. And if I decide to change the name of the tournament, they're willing to support me on that effort as well. But like I said, I'm hoping to launch this in February, so we don't have a lot of time to pull together that kind of lacrosse to benefit the Air Force Base and our local vets. So, but there's a look at the jersey that they've been using.
Nice.
Thank you much.
Thank you, Lamar. Oh, man.
We'll reconvene the business meeting. There's no old business. We have some new business items. Commissioner Howe, you had the first one on the list there.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a motion here. This was slightly amended, was it not? What was amended? Wasn't it a date?
The amendment was basically to state that you would be authorizing formal submission. The first cut of it said you were approving, and technically, you have to process this through the SAB and then come back to Levy Court for a public hearing. So you're not technically approving it tonight, you're authorizing it to proceed. So that was the difference.
Diana, did you have any last minute comments about this? I mean, I've got this motion here, but I was going to give you a chance since you came forward. I didn't know.
Mr. Dickerson is here again this evening. Last week we spoke with the commissioners about this item, which was consideration of sewer outside the growth zone. The matter before Levy Court at the time and before you all tonight is, do you consider it a significant public benefit? And the motion was written around the reasons that were presented previously. I really don't necessarily have any more to add, other than if you would, if you wanted to entertain any more comment from the property owner.
I'm thinking we covered everything, and I'm ready to make a motion. So, Mr. President, I move to authorize formal submission and consideration of a proposal to establish a sanitary sewer extension to the property located at 1730 Bayside Drive, DE Route 9, known as tax parcel ED 0008800011404 and 000, owned by Sally Draper Dickerson and family for the expressed and limited purpose of providing essential sanitary sewer service to accommodate the significant wastewater processing needs of the proposed large gathering destinations business known as King Cole Farm Wedding and Event Venue, located outside of the Kent County Growth Zone Overlay District in recognition of the following. This proposed use would be an agritourism activity as defined and promoted in Delaware Code Title IX, Section 306, that would offer bed and breakfast accommodations and that would accommodate large gatherings of persons from time to time on the subject property for weddings, barn parties, farm festivals, and similar events. And this proposed use would represent a unique local business activity in Kent County that may serve the large gathering needs of many county residents and their guests. And this proposed use will be a destination business that will attract visitors in support of the local tourism industry and the overall economic vitality of Central Delaware. And the 2018 Kent County Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 2, Economic Development, recommends that the tourism industry be actively promoted and expanded with the creation of new tourism opportunities in the county. And this proposed use, as presented by the applicant and summarized above, would, in my opinion, represent a significant public benefit as contemplated in Kent County Code, Chapter 180, Section 21, Item C4.
Second the motion.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Howe, second by Commissioner Angel. Are there any questions on the lengthy motion? No. Seeing none, can we have a roll call vote on that, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
State yes, but very clearly state that this in no way should insinuate or be interpreted to say that we would support density types of residential or other more offensive uses outside the growth zone. These are individual decisions that we're making. So yes, my vote's yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes, for reasons I stated.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, for reasons stated.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, for all reasons stated.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, for all reasons stated.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion has passed. Levy Court. Moving on to potential action from the Administration, Public Works, and Community Services Committee meetings. Commissioner Angel, thank you, sir, for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Any further questions on revolving Discover Bank? Seeing none, I move to authorize the Levy Court President to sign a contract with the National Development Council in order to create a Kent County revolving loan fund. I further move for Kent County Levy Court to contribute $750,000 from unrestricted reserves to start the revolving loan fund.
Second.
Thank you. A motion is made by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Maston to pass this. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Oops. Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Kent County Levy Court's approval of establishing the Discover Bank revolving fund. Thank you. Second item, Commissioner Angel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve all the new and revised position descriptions effective July 1st, 2021, as presented and recommended by staff. Do I need to do these separate, Mr. Lyson?
You can combine them.
Thank you. Second one is I move to henceforth delegate and authorize the county administrator to review, revise, and approve classified service position descriptions.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Howell to approve the position descriptions. Any questions? Seeing none, can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the position descriptions have been approved. Mr. Buxton, next one, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I make a motion that Levy Court approve the aforementioned. I'm not sure that's what I was supposed to include, but motion that we approve housing rehabilitation change order number 2 for housing rehabilitation contract number 19-17.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Buxton, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Buxton?
Yes.
Mr. Hall? Absent. Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion is passed. The next item under Commissioner Sweeney has been moved till next week, so it's off the agenda for this evening. So that's the end of potential action items from committee meetings. And we have no executive session tonight, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Information items. Any information items? Seeing no public comments. Any public comments? Seeing none. Commissioner comments? Oh, Mark, do you have anything? Okay, thank you, Mark. Commissioner comments? Seeing none. Any motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Aye. We are adjourned.